Well, welcome, friends. It's Donny Rose, and I'm joined tonight by a dear friend from Nashville, Tennessee for our Harmony College Northwest opening session keynote. Hey, Kurt, welcome to Harmony College Northwest. Can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Hey, Donny, good to see you. Excited to be here. I grew up in music all my life. My grandfather is in this picture right here. He's playing cornet in a community band. That picture is over 100 years old. And my mom was a choir director. I grew up singing in her choir next to my dad, who taught me how to sing bass. My older brothers were both trumpet players and flute players and musicians. So I had a lot of influence growing up, and it just was a natural step for me to head into music. And I ended up getting a music degree from Luther College in Decorah, Iowa, music education degree. Ended up teaching. I was a music teacher in the Bahamas. Then I was a band director in the Chicago area. Got plugged in at a contemporary church there that needed help with music. While I was at church, I ended up meeting a group of guys who said, we want to create a video series that tells Bible stories with limbless, hairless vegetables that don't wear any clothes. I thought this doesn't sound right. Turned out to be VeggieTales. I guess it was right. That has kept me employed for almost 25 years as the music director for VeggieTales. We've sold over 70 million videos and audio products around the world.
Celery, gotta be it's time for VeggieTales.
So that's been awesome, an awesome ride for me. But it also has opened doors here in Nashville. I still work with VeggieTales, but not full-time like I used to. So I'm now a freelance composer. I write for many different projects. I've written or performed, I should say, for Disney, Blizzard Entertainment, CBN, TBN. We were in a movie together, Animal Crackers. Granted, it was 5 seconds, but yes, there's a clip in there of a barbershop quartet singing that I lined up. So
yeah,
beautiful 5 seconds, wasn't it?
It was a beautiful 5 seconds with our tones. Well, I will tell you, Kurt, that one of the lessons I took from that doing studio work is that, barbershoppers and our friends in Sweet Adelines, we're all so focused on singing everything perfectly. And one of the things that you talked to us about quite a bit was just having a lot more authentic performance. And the further and further we got away from perfection and the more and more authentic we became, it just became much more real. And the wildest version we recorded that would not get as good of a score is the one they used for the film, and it was the right one. And that was one of those crazy lessons I learned from you, which is like, it has to be believable, it has to be real, it has to have a lot of energy. And so thank you for that, because that's stuck with me forever.
It's not the first time it's happened where I've worked with vocalists for dialogue that are very professional, but I've got to get more emotion out of them. I've got to get more connection, more fun out of them. And that's not the first time that's happened. And I think that's a good illustration for a lot of, let's say, amateurs out there, because I know a lot of you aren't full-time musicians. It's not always about the perfection. When you're connecting with an audience, so many more times it's about the emotional connection. It's about communicating and the love of what you get to do and laughing at yourself, having fun with yourself. You may see a picture of me in lederhosen. I don't show that around very often, but I'd gotten a tuba. It's a kind of tuba. It's right over here. This Helicon right here. Picked it up on eBay, and I was like, oh man, that's perfect for. I got to get in a German band, and I'm not a tuba player per se, but I just had fun with that, and getting out there and just you picture a German band. You're not scoring them on, you're not critiquing them on a musical perfection. you're there to have fun, right? And so I think about my singing background. Luther College, I was the president of Nordic Choir, which was the top choir there. And to be able to sing with a group like that every day, I go back, I remember I went back and visited Luther a couple of years ago, and I sat in on that same choir, and I had a chance to speak with him at the end of the choir rehearsal. And I started to break up a little bit. Tears came to my eyes because I said, you don't realize what you have here. I'm getting chills thinking about this. You get to sing with an ensemble every day of the week. Enjoy this, drink it in, because you will not have this chance the rest of your life, typically. You know, some of us get to sing in a church choir, but that sort of thing. But to have this camaraderie and this sound around you every day is amazing. Don't take it for granted, because I get to do music every day of my life, but I don't get that sort of experience. And I would say the same for a quartet you're singing in, a group that you're getting together with. I mean, for me, I'm sitting in a music room right now, writing music all day, but to be able to sit down with a couple other friends and just sing and have fun. I mean, I would love to do that right now. And you're coming back into an opportunity to do that. So first of all, as you start getting back together, just enjoy that fellowship, enjoy that time together, enjoy the hearing, the voices around you, the resonance. You know, I can pick up and play a lot of different instruments, but nothing is like the voice that resonates from inside you. So don't take that for granted. Take the chance to enjoy that sound and love that sound. And then, you know, when you talk about what do we want to do with this? How do we get out there and do different things with this? Yeah, we have these competitions, we have these conventions, but just like when I was a band director, and actually more specifically, I've got 3 kids, and 2 of them have played violin and viola for the last 15, 17 years now. We've played in a really good studio here in Nashville. And it's one thing to get ready for, let's say you're in a high school band, because that's what I'm familiar with. Hey, I'm spending all semester getting ready for one Christmas concert that my parents show up to. Okay, yeah, it was good. It was a good musical experience. I definitely grew as a musician. But what if I took that music? What if I put some friends together and we put some Christmas tunes together and we just go out and play on the street at a local Christmas festival and, you know, those sorts of things. The joy that you see that comes to people's faces just because you're playing music. It's not perfect. That's not the point. It's you're connecting with other people with something musical. There's a quote from Jack Hanna, of all people, non-musical as far as I know. You know, he worked with animals all his life, but I heard this when he passed away. I heard this quote: you have to touch the heart to teach the mind. Again, you have to touch the heart to teach the mind. And of all the subjects that we study in school, of all the jobs that we have, so many of them are teaching the mind. We're on our computers, we're doing spreadsheets. I'm a banker, I'm a lawyer, but how many touch our heart? Music is one of the few that does that. And we have that opportunity to share that with other people. So when I would take my kids and we would sometimes, well, at Christmas, dress up in Dickens costumes, because our studio would do that sometimes too. And we would go out busking. We would go out on the street and play Christmas carols. I'd play my tuba, you see coming up of that sort of stuff. And they would, we had a handful of Christmas songs that they memorized. And you know what? They weren't fantastic performers. They didn't play every note right, but the joy that somebody sees when they hear live music is unbelievable. So, you know, if I were in a quartet right now, maybe we're getting ready for a competition, but I'm like, how can we share this between competitions? We've memorized this music. You know, is there a street festival going on? Is there a town celebration? Is there I remember once I put a group together in high school. We had our own little quintet, kind of like local McDonald's was opening. I reached out to them and said, hey, do you want a little bit of music for your little ribbon cutting ceremony? And they said, yeah. So were out there performing, and the highlight was we got free McDonald's food. That was our pay. I thought that was so cool as a high schooler. Just to get out there and share music, share live music with people. Now, some of you might be saying, and just cut me off anytime, Donny, because I told you I can get on a roll. Sometimes people say, oh, but I don't, I'm not an extrovert. I can't just go out there and do that. I'm scared to death. Fear not. Believe it or not, I'm an introvert. I'm very happy sitting in the studio all day by myself. I think a lot of us have those two tendencies that mix together. We're introverts in one way, but you get us on stage and we're extroverts. So sometimes you have to take that and say, okay, now I'm stepping, I've got my quartet, I've got my little band, I'm in Dickens costumes, I'm in my barbershop costume. Okay, when that hat goes on, now I'm in character. I'm ready to perform. I stole that from one of your, actually that came from Orlando. I was taking pictures in Orlando and I got that from your shop. Yeah. And somehow it didn't get returned. But I think of you every day. So it may take you kind of turning that switch and saying, okay, now I'm not Joe Schmo anymore. I'm an entertainer, and that's what they're expecting to see. They want to see me succeed. They want to have fun. They want to have a moment. Oh, and I made a mess up. Hey, I make a joke about it. I, have because we're interacting. There's a great quote, and American Idol just finished up, and my wife and I watched a lot of it. And there was a girl, I don't remember her name. She made it in the top 4 or 5, but she was a very timid, meek. She worked at a coffee shop in Columbia, Tennessee, which is actually the town that we live in, just south of Nashville. So we were like rooting for her. And at first she was nervous about the auditions. And Lionel Richie said this quote, and it was so good I had to write it down. He said, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Every time you get afraid, take a step forward. Again, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Every time you get afraid, take a step forward.
Wonderful.
So there were times a couple of years ago when my kids, my 2 boys, we would go out busking. That's playing. We would go into downtown Nashville and play on Broadway. Even me being the performer all my life, musician, leader, I would get nervous because I'm like, I'm about to step out on a street with nothing between me and these tourists walking by. And, I'm about to play with my kids. And I don't know what people are going to think. And I myself just had to say, I'm just going to step out there and do this. And by golly, people loved it to hear a couple little kids playing Rocky Top and me on my tuba. And they're like, oh, this is quintessential Nashville. This is what I came for. Cameras are coming out. As a side note, we'd go out with about 6 of us. We had a couple parents that played guitar and tuba, and then a couple of kids that played violin. And I remember we made $400 was the best. That was the coolest. It's like, not only did we have fun, we entertained people and we made some money.
Yeah.
And so just that, having the guts to get out there. Maybe one of your group has a little more of that extrovert. Maybe they're the leader, say, okay, let's go do this. Maybe it's you together just saying, okay, we're a little nervous, but
yeah,
let's go sing some Christmas carols. Let's go sing some of our pieces. Let's go, it could be a retirement home. Right. There's a picture of, Donny, you might have this, of me and my son and several of his friends sitting on a pool table.
Yes.
We wanted to, we decided, actually one of the local proms had a 1940s theme, and they came to my son, hey, is there any music you could do? And I'm like, bells going off. I'm like, let's put together a little combo. And I found some music that I have that's kind of old style, not big band music, but combo music. And then I dug through all my stuff, and I, came up with some bow ties and some suspenders and an old hat and old ties, and I dressed them all up. And they played for this, it was like the dinner part of this prom. But then because that, then we all played for a retirement home locally, and they just loved it. They thought it was the best thing ever.
Oh,
And and the kids just thought it was so cool. They thought they felt pretty cool dressed up like that. And so you go to your local retirement home, they're just going to eat that stuff up. Doesn't matter what you do, just the fact that you've stepped in the door and shown interest in serving them. you could sing the alphabet and you're just fine after that. So
yeah,
people love that stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that we struggle with in barbershop, in a cappella music in general, Sweet Adeline's barbershop, everybody, we tend to work really, really hard in a room and then go to another closed room which happens to be a contest and sing in that room. And we don't normally just kind of share our music freely outside in the world because we're afraid that, well, people will make fun of us or not understand or think that the style is archaic or the sound. And your experiences have been, and I've seen this, Kurt. I remember walking down through the streets of Franklin, Tennessee, and running into you and a bunch of your string kids playing on the corner. And who would think, in a country fair, but it was fantastic. You had a huge crowd. People loved it. And so I think my message that I just want to echo from you is we should share our music all over, not just in sides of hotel ballrooms during a contest set.
Yeah, let me address that. There's two things that come to my mind. One is an actual direct illustration. I was in high school, I was in a youth church choir, and we had one director who loved, we would go out and we had a smaller group that it had a live band and singers. It was kind of hip and contemporary for 1970s.
Sure.
No, this would have been 1980s. But we would go to malls and sing, and we'd sing pop tunes. And then at the end, we'd sing some religious tunes and just kind of introduce people to some of those. And we were out there. And I remember on one tour, we sang at the edge of Niagara Falls in an outdoor park. And there was a homeless woman there that was so touched by what we were doing that she reached out to the people that were there with us, the parents and the chaperones. And I mean, we ended up developing a relationship with her and helping her, regain a little bit of her life because of the message she was hearing. I will never forget that. Mm. Well, then I was still in the same group, and we got a new director who was fantastic. But his goal was, okay, there's this youth choir convention, and we're going to go and we're going to compete. And we won, I think. But I was like, wait a minute, we're spending all this time. And for us being a church choir, we're sharing a message. And with one person, we did it in the real world and affected somebody's life. And in the other, we're going and singing for other choirs. And we're kind of in this fishbowl and not really affecting the world. Now, take that idea, because I thought, man, I saw the dichotomy of that. Now, think about what you were just saying, Donny, and think of a paradigm shift. Think of, okay, we're used to going to hear classical music in a concert hall and nobody clap between movements. Well, think about that original Baroque music, the gavottes and all these pieces that my kids have played, the minuets. Dum da 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 dum dum bum bum ba da 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 dum bum. What was that? It was a dance. So you think originally when that was played, it was in a ballroom at a party with people dancing, drinking, I'm sure, talking and laughing. And this set the mood for this attitude.
Right.
Now we bring it into it's a museum piece now. Sit and listen and don't say anything until the end and then clap. Big band music. Okay, 30s, 40s. It was to dance to. It was, you go out Friday night, you get dressed up with your girl and you dance the night away, and it was to live music, and it creates the best memories. And now we go to a concert and listen to big band music and then clap at the end. It's a museum again. To get that music out of the museum. Same with barbershop. It's in the name, barbershop. It's not concert hall music, it's barbershop music. It was sung in the barbershop with guys sitting around and telling stories. And that's where the memories come from. So, my challenge is to take it out of the museum, take it out of the concert hall, take it out of the competition, and bring music back to people. because they haven't heard it for the last year and a half live.
Yeah.
And they are hungry to hear anything. I've got a friend who plays trumpet in the marching band at Disney World, Main Street Philharmonic. And they had cut back on a lot of music groups, and their band was able to continue playing because they could march down the street and be socially distanced. And he said, we're getting emails from people saying, oh, we love the band. That was so neat to hear. And he's like, we never used to get emails.
Right.
And simply because people are like, oh, I'm hearing music. I'm hearing live music. It brings back memories. It conjures up things in the heart, not in the mind. So that's my challenge is, get out of your own comfort zone and stretch yourself a little bit, because the amazing thing is when you see somebody touched by your music, that changes. You're like, oh my gosh, that is so special. And you've spent hours and days training this part that you're singing in this voice. Why? So that you can compete only to, yes, it's great to compete, because the more competition, the better you get, the better it sounds. And it's just, but let some of that go sometimes and just go have fun with it with your friends, and just go out on the, it's one thing to say, oh, just go out on the street corner and sing. That's nerve-wracking, but trust me, there's festivals, there's all sorts of things that are looking for music, and don't expect to get paid. That's not the goal. Expect to share joy.
Right on. It's just been such a joy to get to know you and work with you. And thanks, my friend.
I'm doing this is because Donny and these other guys I don't know of a happier bunch. Sure, it's because of barbershop music. He was nasty. You don't want to know him before he was introduced to barbershop music. He was a different person, and barbershop has changed his life. So, but no,
well,
it's like me true. It's like me with German music or Dixieland music or an accordion and a banjo. It's like, I'd be happy around barbershop music. So that's why I'm so excited to be working with you guys. So thanks much for having me. And we look forward to hooking up again.
All right. Thank you, my friend. We'll talk to you later.